A homily for March 6, the first Sunday of Lent. When you have come into the land that the Lord our God is giving you, you shall take some of the first of all the fruit of the ground, which you harvest from the land that the Lord your God is giving you, and you shall put it in a basket and go to the priest who is in the office at that time. Then the text tells you to hand the basket to the priest. The priest sets it on the altar of God, and then we all declare before the Lord our God that which is now on the altar is the first fruits we offer, the products of the soil that you, O Lord, have given us. And we all bow down or kneel in God's presence. These words come to us from Deuteronomy, from a speech given by Moses to the children of Israel to remind them of all that God had done for them, and gave them instructions on celebrating a liturgy in thanksgiving to God. Please notice that that is what we do at the offertory, at the Mass, 3,000 years later. Notice that in the above text, Moses says not once, but twice, that the harvest comes from the land that God has given us. In other words, the good things of our lives come to us because God participates in our lives to help make us productive. And so naturally, we give thanks. This reading and the offertory pose us a crucial question. Do we believe that God helps make our lives productive? If not, then we are leading secular lives. If so, then we are on our journey with God, like Moses and the children of Israel. What is at issue here is control. Do you or I think we control our environment, including the people around us? Do we actually control our environment? Notice that those are two different questions. What we think may be very different from what is true. Jesus had learned in the hidden years that he controlled nothing in his human life, that his powerful love came from the Father's powerful love. We witness all this at his baptism. But before Jesus started his public ministry, the Father wanted to strengthen his Son's faith, to test run it to the max in confrontations with evil, because the Father knew that steel is tempered and gold is refined in fire. In today's Gospel, St. Luke tells us that Jesus was led by the Spirit into the desert for 40 days. St. Mark is more stark. And the Spirit immediately drove him into the wilderness. He was in the wilderness 40 days, tempted by Satan. And he was with the wild beasts, and the angels waited on him. Remember the movies where the chief character has an angel on one shoulder urging the hero to choose the good, and a devil on the other shoulder urging the converse? This is an entertaining image, but the battle is real. And though the angels minister, the beasts are wild, and they do attack. How else to understand Vladimir Putin's belief that he alone can restore Russia to its former greatness, and that no amount of destruction is too much for so grand a purpose? This is the temptation Jesus faced. The devil said to Jesus, "I shall give you all this power and glory over all the kingdoms of the world." Jesus resisted this temptation, but think of how many do not. We find this temptation with its wild beasts throughout our culture, our government, our church, and even our work relationships and families. Ever work for someone who always had to be right and had to be in the limelight? Ever know a family member like that? We all have. Lent is the season when the Spirit sends us into the desert, but not to grieve what terrible people we are. We must reject this old and hostile theology. The Spirit sends us to the desert, where we can find freedom from what binds us, so that we can rise with Jesus into new life at the resurrection. In the desert, we confront the demons and the wild beasts that lurk in our memories, our thoughts, and our feelings. Jesus' love frees us, though the encounter is exhausting. These beasts are a familiar brood. Fears about the future, anxieties about the present, regrets about the past, the what-ifs, the if only I had onlys, the why won't the bishops, why won't the Congress, the hurts, the bitterness, the resentments, and the temptations to anesthetic and addictive activities to dull the pain. As we fast, give alms, and reflect in prayer on our Lenten desert, we limit our recourse to the usual means of distracting ourselves from demon memories, thoughts, and feelings. In doing so, we engage the demons, and with God's help, we are freed. And, though in the desert, we have angels and friends encouraging us, maybe a good spiritual director or prayer group, and we have the Eucharist to celebrate, just as Moses and the Israelites celebrated, and for the same reason, to give thanks for how good God has been to us. No, there's no spiritual life for dummies, nor tourists, nor those enjoying their own power. The spiritual life is all about reality, in who we really are and who God really is. So please take some time this week to reflect on these temptations and see how you would apply them to human life. Jesus on the parapet of the temple? Jump off, work a miracle, make a fortune as an influencer on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. Rely on yourself, not on God, to make your own bread, to achieve your goals in the world? Well, try and see. Following the first reading, the text says, "Then, together with the Levites and the aliens who reside among you, you shall celebrate with all the bounty that the Lord your God has given you." After we have placed our gifts on the altar today, let's celebrate, not forgetting to invite the Levites, who are the priests, and the aliens, the poor, the newcomers, those we do not know, to celebrate the bounty of God, the bounty that God has given us.